In 2012, a giant fell. Kodak, the company that for over a century defined photography for the entire world, filed for bankruptcy. How could this happen? How could the inventor of the very technology that killed it, the digital camera, fail so spectacularly? This isn't just a story about a failed company. It's a chilling lesson about success, fear, and the trap of being too profitable. Let's rewind. By 2012, the writing wasn't just on the wall. It was carved in stone. Japanese competitors like Canon and Sony already dominated the digital camera market. But the real killer blow came from something else entirely: the smartphone. Apple's iPhone, released in 2007, and free photo-sharing apps like Instagram made photography instant, easy, and social. Suddenly, everyone had a camera in their pocket. Even when Kodak tried to compete in the digital space, their efforts were clumsy. Their cameras were often bulky, expensive, and just not as good as the competition's. Why? Because inside Kodak, a civil war was raging. The company was like a leaky bucket, pouring money into its new digital division while the old, incredibly profitable film division held all the power. The film executives, addicted to massive profits, saw digital as a threat, not the future. They strategically starved the digital division, ensuring it could never truly succeed. This paralysis at the top raises a huge question: who let this happen? To find the answer, we have to go back to the 90s, to a project they deliberately buried. Picture this: it's 1996. Kodak is at the peak of its power, a money-printing machine churning out film rolls and photochemicals. The company is swimming in cash. This was their golden opportunity to pivot, to own the next century just as they had owned the last. And believe it or not, they had the key. They weren't just aware of digital technology. They were the world leaders in developing it. In 1996, Kodak engineers developed a revolutionary consumer digital camera. But that's not all. They also had a concept for an online photo-sharing platform. Think about that. Kodak had the blueprint for Instagram, a full decade before Instagram even existed. They had the camera, they had the network, they had the brand. They had it all. So, the project managers, buzzing with excitement, presented this vision to the board of directors. They showed them the future. And what was the board's first question? How will this impact our film sales? The engineers, being honest, gave the devastatingly correct answer: it will destroy our film sales. And with that, the board killed it. The project was shelved. Why? Because they couldn't stomach the idea of swapping the 70 to 80% profit margins of film for the much lower single-digit margins of digital hardware. They were terrified of cannibalizing their own golden goose. This is the tragic heart of the story. Kodak wasn't defeated by a competitor. It was defeated by itself, paralyzed by an addiction to short-term profits. They saw the future, held it in their hands, and chose to lock it away to protect the past. But the origin of this fatal flaw goes back even further, to the moment the future was first invented. Let's travel back to 1975. The world runs on film. Photography means loading a roll, clicking 24 or 36 times, then taking it to a store to be developed. It's a chemical process, a waiting game. Inside a Kodak laboratory, a young engineer named Sasson has just created something that looks like it's from a sci-fi movie. It's a clunky device, weighing over 8 pounds, that captures a grainy, black-and-white 0.01 megapixel image and records it onto a cassette tape. He has just invented the world's first digital camera. He proudly presents his creation to Kodak's leadership. He shows them a camera that needs no film. And the executives, the bosses of the film division, look at this incredible invention and ask the question that would seal Kodak's fate. That's cute, but where's the film? No chemicals? How do we make money from this? They just couldn't see a business model beyond selling consumables. Instead of celebrating this breakthrough, they were terrified by it. So what did they do? They classified Sasson's invention as a trade secret. and essentially locked it in a closet for years. Their thinking was that this technology was at least a decade away from being viable, and by then they'd figure out how to make it work for their existing business model. They fundamentally underestimated the speed of technological change, known as Moore's Law, and how quickly consumers would embrace a better, easier way. From its very first moment of existence, the digital camera was in direct conflict with Kodak's entire reason for being profitable. But the ultimate irony is that this fear-driven mindset was a complete betrayal of the man who started it all. Let's go all the way back to 1888. George Eastman, a visionary entrepreneur, founds the Eastman Kodak Company. His genius wasn't just in technology, it was in his business model. He wanted to make photography, which was then a complex and messy process for professionals, accessible to everyone. His famous slogan was, "You press the button, we do the rest." He pioneered what we now call the razor and blades model. He sold simple, inexpensive cameras, the razor, to create a continuous, highly profitable revenue stream from selling the film and developing chemicals, the blades. This model made him and Kodak immensely successful. It was brilliant. And here lies the ultimate paradox. The leadership that let Kodak die in the 21st century did so by protecting Eastman's model, but in doing so, they betrayed his spirit. Eastman's core mission was always to make photography easier and more accessible. Digital photography was the ultimate fulfillment of that mission. It was the final step in, "You press the button, we do the rest." It removed the "we do the rest" part entirely. But this time, the innovation threatened the blades, the source of all that easy profit, so they rejected it. In the end, Kodak died because it loved its high profit margins more than it loved its customers' needs. They were in the business of memories, but when a better way to capture and share memories came along, they tried to stop it instead of lead it. So, what can we all learn from Kodak's colossal failure? The takeaways are incredibly powerful. First, the most profitable companies can often be the most fragile. Sky-high profit margins create complacency. They make it almost impossible for a company to embrace a new business model with lower margins, even if that new model has a vastly larger market. Kodak was seduced and ultimately destroyed by its own success. Second, you must be willing to cannibalize yourself. This is the big one. Companies are terrified that a new product will kill an old, profitable one. But the lesson from Kodak is crystal clear. If you don't cannibalize your own products, a competitor will gladly do it for you, and they'll take your entire company down with it. Self-disruption is survival. Third, don't misidentify your core business. Kodak thought they were in the film and chemical business. That's what they made. But in reality, their true expertise, their core competency, was image science. They were experts in capturing light and color. By clinging to the physical product, film, instead of leaning into their actual skill, they became obsolete. And finally, always understand the job to be done for your customer. People who bought Kodak film didn't actually want a thin strip of plastic coated in chemicals. They wanted to capture, save, and share memories. That was the job. When digital technology offered a superior, faster, and cheaper way to do that exact job, Kodak's entire value proposition evaporated overnight. The story of Kodak is a tragedy, but it's one we can all learn from. It's a reminder that no company is too big to fail, and that the only constant in business and in life is change. Thanks for watching. If you found this story as fascinating as I did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the stories that shaped our world. See you in the next one.